111,000 miles on this Lincoln MKT, and it's done. This thing is a goner. Let's find out why. Let's get started. This is one of those cars just sitting at the buy here, pay here lot, and you're looking at cars and think this thing looks nice. And it actually drives okay. But it needs $4,000 to $5,000 worth of work, almost as much as this whole car is worth. We're going to find out today what happened to this car, what's wrong with it. It's very, very expensive. Let's go ahead and take a look around this thing before we dive in. Here's the front of this MKT, and it has its own very unique styling. Whenever I see these on the road, I know right away that's an MKT. I don't confuse it with anything else. As we go down this side, it does have pretty nice paint. Everything looks pretty nice. And from the back, you cannot mistake it from anything else. This is definitely an MKT with the EcoBoost 3.5 engine. Very unique styling. As we go down this side, we can see right here at the passenger rear door why this expensive build would not be worth fixing on this car. It does have some damage there. Otherwise, the rest is pretty nice. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior, and then we're going to jump into what is wrong with this thing.
Okay, I had to start the car. Oh no, service, tire, mobility, oil change required. Oh, these are not good signs, but I had to start the car just to get it to show the mileage, and maybe it'll come back? No, but it did say 111,000 miles. And everything is retracting back. So it does have easy out feature, but the gauge cluster is nice. I wish I could show you more of that mileage, but it was so quick. It just flashed there before it gave us some warnings, and I'll give you a clue. Neither of those are the problem with this car. As we move up, the dash is in good shape. There's no cracks. There's no major problems or anything. It does have an infotainment system. It's looking a little bit aged for the time, for what we're used to today. As we move down, very easy to control HVAC system, and you'll note that this is an automatic. I do like in the cup holders you can change the colors, and that was one thing that was a feature in that GT500 we have, which makes sense being that this is a Lincoln product, that the Ford and Lincoln would share a few cute little features. As we look at our seats, they must be fans of Austin, Texas. They have a lovely mug here setting there, but the leather's in good shape. It is perforated in the center, and we have a very large headrest. Door card is in good shape, although there is some plastic in the door handle. I'm not sure what they're hiding in there, but nonetheless, there's a little bit of something there. But again, we've got some more of that wood trim wrapping around from above the glove box around to the door card as well. So this is definitely a people hauler. The back seats notes that we have two captain chairs back there, and then we have a third row, which is laid down at the moment for cargo area, but could be brought up. This could definitely hold 7 people. Headliner's in good shape, so everything in here so far is looking good. No crazy, Cheeto fingers or tears or rips. So here we are at that steering wheel, and there are tons of buttons and even some floppy paddles back there, so you can have some fun driving this thing, I guess. And as nice as it looks in here, unfortunately all the problems are not in the interior, it's under that hood. Let's get that hood open and see what's going on.
Let's get this thing opened up here. Here is our 3.5 liter EcoBoost twin turbo engine. If I can get this cover off for you guys. There it is in all its glory. Danielson checked this one over. He did scan it and found it has PO299, which is some issues with underboost. As you take a look under here, we can see down to the bottom right, way down there where the exhaust manifold goes down towards the bottom, towards the floor, there's a turbo there. It's kind of hard to see. And you can't see it, but way back on the other side of the engine by the firewall is a second turbo. So let's play the game. What is wrong with this vehicle? I'll let you guys let us know in the comments which one you choose, and we'll see if you were right. Is it A, a boost controller issue? Is it B, an issue with low oil? Or is it C, the turbos are cooked? Let us know what you think it is in the comments, and then we're going to show you right now what we found, and it's very, very bad. It's sad. Other than the dent in this vehicle, it could have possibly been worth fixing. So now we're going to dive into what exactly is wrong with this vehicle. And as you saw, it has body damage on the side, which further decreases the value of it, and it's over 100,000 miles. As you can see in this picture here, you can go literally buy another one for $6 grand. So let's talk about what we found. I actually have a service I use which is called Identifix. You can type in an engine code or symptoms, and then it'll give you a list of what they found all over the country. What was the guaranteed fixes? And when you start to see the same fix all the time stacking up, and you have hundreds of them, then it really helps with the diagnosis. Then you can focus on those issues and get your answer. Let me show you the paperwork. Now, this service that I use is a professional level service. It costs like a little over $200 a month. That really isn't going to be feasible for somebody who just needs to look up one item or one thing. You can Google it, you can type in symptoms and codes and get the answers. It's just not going to be as detailed and direct as this Identifix is. So we typed in the P0299 code with this particular model of car, and let's see what comes up. Replace turbocharger, turbo, it just keeps going and going and going and going. But wait, there's more. Replace turbocharger. And now we get into the realm where it says replace both turbochargers. But wait, there's more. Replace both turbochargers. And all the way down here, this person had to do the turbochargers and the catalytic converter. So based on those findings, we went ahead and checked it over. We removed one of the exhaust pipes just near the turbo, and it literally oil came pouring out. Also, when you turn this car off, you can hear the turbo wheel literally grenading inside of the turbo housing. It's like, it sounds really, really bad. Also, several of those things I just showed you had checks that you can check. It said go back to both tailpipes, and if it's really nasty oily residue on both tailpipes on the inside, you don't need to go any further. It's the turbos, they're shot. Let's go take a look. So let's try this side. It actually looks a little dirtier. Ugh. It's like oily inside of there. It's like oil. Gross. Let's try the other side. Even worse. It's slimy. It feels wet in there. It's like oil. So normally on modern cars, this is a 2010, especially 2010 and newer, you should be able to go to your exhaust pipe and rub the inside and literally have nothing on your hands. The catalytic converters and the emission systems and everything they have on cars today are that clean. On a modern car, you should not be able to get soot on the inside of the tailpipe. This one not only has soot, but it's oily. So based on what we found at the turbo where it was pouring oil out, we can literally hear the compressor wheel like making a noise inside the housing. Both pipes are oily, like I mentioned, and it has the code P0299. We don't need to go any further. I actually contacted a friend of mine that works at the Ford dealership here in the area. He said, oh yeah, these are very high failure rate items. He said they do offer reman turbos. He said don't buy those, they're trash. Only use Ford. Secondly, he said only a moron would only replace just one turbo. He said the second one is guaranteed to be going out in the next 3 to 6 months. He said quote both or don't do the job. He says you'll thank me later. So that's what we did. And that's definitely something I agree with. These are known for failing so bad. Why would you only do one and hope on a wing and a prayer that the other one doesn't go out? You can't do that. You're going to have angry customers. So both, or we don't do the job. The turbos, just the part for OEM, not reman, is $1,100 per turbo. It's a 10 to 12 hour job to dig all this stuff out. You're going to have coolant lines and gaskets. Yes, coolant lines. They are coolant-cooled turbos. There's a lot involved to get these replaced. It is extremely expensive. And something we also told the customer, just like we saw on the Identifix list, this has been burning oil for so long, it has very likely cooked the catalytic converters as well. It's very likely we put new turbos on, they drive it for a month, and then catalyst efficiency code comes up because the cats are clogged. I mean, they're wasted. So we told that to the customer, 4 to 5 grand for turbos, and then it can go up from there if the catalytic converters are bad. And this person said, even if you could do it at half that cost, he said, I still don't want to do it. He said, we're done. Park it out front. I have zero interest in going any further with this vehicle. And just like I just showed you, he agreed as well. I can go buy another MKT for that much money. So, as I stated in the beginning of this video, this 111,000 mile Lincoln is a goner. It's done. Now, if you can fix it yourself and buy the parts, it might be worth it, but not to have a shop do it. Let's get this thing on the lift and just take a quick glance underneath. All right, guys, let's start this thing up with its turbo issues that's having. Sometimes it cranks forever. Let's take a listen here. You hear that, guys? That was the turbo. It's shot. Let's get this thing on the lift. We'll just take a quick look under here. You get a better view of where the turbos are and how it's not such a quick job to get to them. Let's go ahead. See, there's nothing leaking up here. It doesn't really have any serious leaks going on anywhere. Check these brakes. Brakes are good. CV shafts are good. I do see a lot of surface rust going on here. Sway bar links are good. Nothing loose. Brakes are good, CV shafts are good, sway bar link is good, nothing loose. This vehicle's also starting to rust on some of the major frame areas. I can start flaking some of it off. It's not, I don't want to keep going, guys, but you get the idea. Some rust going on there. It is an all-wheel drive. You can see that our all-wheel drive system is right there. So from this angle, we'll be able to see both catalytic converters, which likely are, I would say they're probably bad. We can see the turbo on this side from below. You can see my light there, I'm wiggling it. You can kind of see there's where the turbo is on the back bank. You can see where we unhooked the exhaust clamp and oil came running out. And this pipe here goes to the front of the engine where you can see there's another catalytic converter, which is probably bad, and the other turbo, which is also bad. So as you can see, and I've done this job before in the past, it's not a 30-minute job, it's not a 2-hour job, it's not a 5-hour job, it's 10 or more. It's a lot of work. The rest of the car is in decent shape. We see some rust going on. Let's go ahead and continue with our inspection here. This drive shaft is good. I don't feel any play in it. Here's our carrier bearing. All seems good there. No loose U-joints. This does look like it has some sort of an underbody coating, but unfortunately it didn't coat the areas up front like the main subframe and stuff. It's starting to rust pretty bad. But floor pans look okay. Here's our exhaust. Here's our drive shaft again. And differential and everything is leak free. Just our brakes back here. Brakes are about half gone, but still okay. The back shocks have some oily residue out of them, so they're bad. Here's more of this rust I'm talking about. A lot of the joints have some very serious flaking and rust going on. Brakes are half gone over here. CV boots are good. And also some more oily residue on the back shock. Tires look decent. Again, it's kind of a sad story. It really is. It probably has more life left in the vehicle itself, but it's just not worth it. Let's get this thing back on the ground.
Okay, Wizard, a lot of cars have twin turbos anymore. Is this because it's a small engine that's been twin turboed, or what's going on here?
That's yet to be seen. There's kind of an idea that they're taking smaller engines and turbocharging them and getting more power out of them. But just like with Caterpillar, with their generator engines and their big diesel engines, they rate them on how many gallons of fuel can go through that engine until it's time for a rebuild. We're seeing that these engines are putting a lot of air and a lot more fuel through a smaller engine. How long are they going to last? They may not last as long as a larger displacement V8 that's not trying so hard. That's yet to be seen how that's going to play over the next 10, 15, 20 years. This situation with the turbos is very common on these EcoBoost engines, especially if oil changes weren't religiously adhered to. That's a big, big deal with these engines. You start skipping oil changes, you know, I'll get it next time, and pretty soon you'll start wearing out your turbo. They don't like dirty oil. Is that what happened here? I don't know. It likely is, but I don't have a guaranteed thing, but that definitely is a killer of these turbos.
Okay, Wizard, so it's happening on a Lincoln. We can assume it's happening on a Ford. Is it going to happen on Land Rover when Land Rover use these engines?
Yeah, they use EcoBoost engines, as like the 2.0 and the Discovery Sports and things. Again, change the oil. You have to keep the oil clean and keep it maintained so that the lifespan can last longer. Just like on the paperwork I just showed you. Even people out there are changing their oil and doing the best they can. They're still failing a lot. It's kind of sad. I hate to give this news to the customer, but like I told you, when we gave them the options, they said, we're done. Just when I hear those 3 words, park it outside, I know we're done talking. There's nothing to talk about anymore. So that's what I'm going to do. We're done filming here. I'm going to park it out front, and this car will go away. What's going to happen to it? I have no idea. I don't know. Customer doesn't want to spend the money, so it's not getting fixed. So when we see data like that on the paperwork I showed you from Identifix, where this is a huge problem, and then they list on there what the failure symptoms were, oil pouring out of the turbo. You guys literally just heard it make the turbo compressor wheel noise, which means it's just flopping around in there, tearing it into metal bits. And the exhaust pipes are coated in oil. You don't need to tear the turbos out to test it any further. You don't need to go any deeper. I have all the data I need just with those tests. Very concrete answers. I love concrete answers, and that's what we got with this vehicle. If you're curious what kind of tools we're not going to use on this one, but on other cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut if you purchase anything. There's many, many more videos to come because there's many more cars coming into the shop. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.